Winning is not a sometime thing. It's an all-the-time thing. You don't win once in a while, and you don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit. You gotta play with your heart, with every ounce of fiber in your body. I've never known a man worth the salt who deep down in his heart didn't appreciate the grind, the discipline, and to win, and to win, and to win. It is and always has been an American seal, and that's to be first, regardless of what we do. There's no room for second place. There's only one place, and that's first place. I finished second twice in my time, and I don't ever want to finish second again. But I firmly hold that a man's finest hour, the greatest fulfillment to anything he holds dear.
I think UCO is a sleeping giant. You know, we are. When I was here, when I played here, we were competing for national championships. You know, that was the goal every year, and that's our goal. You know, that's what we're going to do.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time it might be. Thank you for tuning in to the first ever episode of the UCO Dynasty here on the Choso Podcast Network. It's something I wanted to do for a long, long time. If you're new here, this channel is all about the University of Central Oklahoma, a real-life Division II school in Edmond, Oklahoma, currently in the MIAA. But in this timeline, as it says in the description, we're making the move. The first time since 1978, a Division II school is moving up to the FBS ranks. And it's going to be the goal to turn this team from an unknown into the best team in college football. It's going to be a heck of a journey. I want it to be a slow, realistic build. I've been inspired by several other Dynasty guys on YouTube. Not Hurricane, not the expert, T&J, Uncle Sam's, Rejects, Big C, others. And I think we have a very different approach. I know now the expert is doing his FCS Dynasty with the Moonmen. I don't think anybody is doing the Division II. I think since Sim with the Vengeance did his Minnesota State Dynasty. So I'm really looking forward to this. And speaking of those aforementioned guys, the slider set that we're using is kind of a hodgepodge of several of them. A lot of them, you know, the speed threshold, 7-minute quarters. The penalty sliders I've actually been using for quite some time. I like it, especially the pass interference sliders. The DB receiver interactions are fantastic with this. They fight for the ball. It's really great. So if you haven't tested that yet, I encourage you to try it. For user sliders, it's not the expert's current set. The only changes being interceptions for the user is at 10, and the kicking sliders is what I've been using for a while. I like it. I miss field goals. The CPU misses field goals. I think it plays fair. I've tested it before. It plays fair. It looks bad, but even in his gameplay, you'll see that he's able to move the ball, have some big plays. But I think it's a fair set for the user. Then for the CPU, it's Mr. Hurricane's final CPU set from his Kalispell Dynasty, with again the only changes being interception at 20 and the kicking sliders, making it harder for the CPU. With the interception sliders, don't worry. You'll still see picks on both sides. It's just there to eliminate, the super linebacker jump and the sidekick defensive back cheese. But you'll still see picks. There's been games before where I've thrown multiple picks, so you'll still see turnovers. Recruiting rules. I know that's also big. Everybody wants to know: are you going to build it the right way? Yes, we are. I did some research beforehand. I looked, and when Western Kentucky made their jump from the FCS to the FBS, their first couple of classes was mainly 1 and 2 stars. So as a result, our rules for the first 2 seasons is set in stone, will not budge. First 2 seasons, 1 and 2 stars, with the exception of 2 or 3 3-stars, because the way I say this, offense, defense, special teams, but they have to be in-state guys. I think with the third one, I feel like we can use that as we want, kind of give us some leeway there, but definitely at least 1 offense and 1 defense, and then the third one can kind of be a wild card. Might even let you guys choose who the third 3-star that we go after is, because I do want your input in this dynasty. That's how it's going to be. I think it'll make it realistic and harder, and focus on development and really finding those diamonds in the rough. I will probably have a recruiting special probably around week 3 or 4 after the board gets settled, and I kind of have a set list of guys that we're going after. But looking at the coaching staff, right, you make the move, you want a named coach, and Jay Norvell is that guy. In real life at this time, he was the offensive coordinator, receivers coach at OU. In real life now, he's the head coach at Colorado State, coming off that great run at Nevada. Schematically wise, we want to eventually transition into what he ran at Nevada. I actually have a playbook already made based off that that's ready to go. We just have to get the talent for that. But as of now, we're going to run the default OU playbook. It just makes sense. That's kind of what he came with, and it kind of fits our talent. You put in quotes, our talent. Offensively, we turned to former OSU quarterback Zach Robinson, which is perfect because, again, we want to transition into that air raid style that he ran during his time at Oklahoma State. And then our defensive coordinator is a UCO alum, Jamel Cudjoe, all Lone Star Conference defensive lineman. He spent several years in the pros, bouncing around teams. We're going to run a 3-4 defense early on. It fits the talent, but plan is to transition into a 4-3. Then looking at the roster here, not a single player at 70, very few over 65. Our best player in real life, Joshua Birmingham, is actually one of the best players in UCO football history. The running back out of Luther, redshirted at Wyoming, and then transferred and became just a dominant force. So the offense is going to revolve around the 5'9", 195 Luther native for the first few seasons, until we get some more talent in there and start slowly building towards that air raid power run attack. But as you can see here, our quarterback play is going to be very tough. We've got guys that aren't that fast, don't have the best arms, doesn't have the best accuracy. And it's kind of just throughout the whole roster, right? You look at running back, no one above 85 speed. We're looking at wide receiver. Only one guy has over 70 catching. So it's like I said before, this is making a 2-level leap. So this is the best way to replicate this. On top of that, a lot of juniors and seniors. So we definitely have to hit the ground running, recruiting wise. Especially along the offensive lines. I think the offensive line and the defensive line have to be first priorities for us, because it doesn't matter who we have back there. If we can't protect them, if we can't rush the passer, then it doesn't matter. So that's going to be a heavy focus, especially in the first 2 classes. We look to establish not only depth but starters there. And in terms of that, we want to sparingly use JUCOs, right? We kind of want to build up depth through 4-year guys. There's some JUCO sophomores, or we're in a pinch. I know we'll look at JUCOs, but overall, I kind of want this to be built the right way through freshmen, through redshirting, through development, and we want to eventually, like I said, turn this team into a household name. One freshman that might actually help to do that, though, is Levante Douglas here, one of the fastest players on the whole team. He's raw as a corner, but by default is our corner 3, but could really be big for us in the return game as a true freshman. As fun is to say that a 58 overall guy could be a future building block, he's definitely one of them, and there's not many on this roster. Looking at the schedule, we replaced UMass, so I'm sorry to any and all UMass fans out there, but the reason being because we're starting off as an independent for the first 2 seasons. It's similar to how Bob the Expert is doing with his Moonman Dynasty, where in storyline he's an FCS program, so he's playing all the FCS teams. It's something similar to this, except for we're playing all the independent teams and 2 of the 3 in-state teams. The reason being is because the first year you're not eligible for the postseason, so this is a good way to make sure schedule-wise that even if we get lucky, say we join the Sun Belt immediately and we got lucky enough to luck in the 7-8 wins, which I don't think would happen, then we get to a bowl. So this is a good way to make sure that we don't get to a bowl by making the schedule hard enough to where we can get some wins, right? There's 3 FCS teams. There's 3 FCS teams. The one change we might make, though, the one change I'm going to make actually, we're going to treat FCS Midwest like it's Northeastern State. For those who don't know, Northeastern State is UCO's rival. So we're going to at least play this the first couple of seasons. It makes sense because they're green. Northeastern State is green. We'll just go with it. But the rest of the schedule, we got 3 ranked teams. We need the funding. They're cutting us checks, and the 2 in-state teams, travel-wise, it just makes sense. We can bust there. And then Alabama is paying us a couple of $1 million to come and pad their stats. Outside of that, we have some winnable games here. We got Old Dominion, Idaho, and New Mexico State. I feel like our FBS teams that, if we have some luck, could possibly win. We're going to stay independent the first 2 years because, again, like I mentioned before, we're making the move up this year, and then the second year we can join a conference, but I don't want us to win the conference championship. You can't really win it in your first year in a conference. Usually ineligible to win it. So this gives us a couple of years to decide whether or not to join the Sun Belt or Conference USA, which is the reason why I kept Idaho in, so we could have a full Sun Belt when we do the realignment and decide. Also, I'll take feedback on what conference we think we should join, CUSA or the Sun Belt. Obviously, CUSA has all the Texas teams, so from a location standpoint, it makes sense. But the Sun Belt's kind of always been the go-to for your, FCS jumpers, right? Like West Kentucky, they first joined, they also went to the Sun Belt. So it's kind of a 50-50 right now. I'm fine with either one, but that's something that we'll look into here in the future. But I'm really excited to get this dynasty started. Week 1 should be out here shortly. I'm really excited. Like I said, I'm excited about this. Something that I've always wanted to do. And if you're new here, you're excited for this journey, please like and subscribe to follow along. Please check out the other real life UCO content that we have on the channel. We have player interviews. We have in real life position breakdowns, recruiting breakdowns, and then once the season starts, we'll have more in real life content as well. There's also a link to the social podcast dating all the way back to 2018 season. So if you are interested in the real life Broncos, please check those things out. But again, thanks for watching. Week 1 will be out here soon. Have a nice day.